Blessed love and peace. Here we are again. How long? We don't know. And such is life. There we go. Now, what we got to share is a few things. Football, sport. Very brief because, again, I'm not certain how long the bus is going to be. So, one thing about sport. Like, to recognize that when we talk about geopolitics and additionally, and people are talking about, people are talking about Armageddon and all this other stuff. That's been going on for hundreds, thousands. So, that's nothing new. Kinfolk talk about need of this, that, and the other. In terms of structures, civilization, and otherwise. How about something very simple and further immediate and actually very relevant and a causal factor in those conditions of change or stability and order. The bus runs up kind of quick right here, so and the visibility is somewhat obstructed by beautiful trees and such. So, all right. So basically, what we're saying is this: just as the state of global politics is in a certain urgency, how about the state of sport is in a state of urgency, emergency? When we talk about the integrity of sport, the positive vibration that comes from sport, and additionally, state of emergency, because it's in unprecedented levels of celebrity and popularity and commercialization and financial prosperity, but the integrity is significantly compromised. And that is a very significant concern for societal order, civilization. Because as we mentioned before, so many people don't believe in democracy. So many people don't believe in government. So many people don't believe in religion. And so many people believe in sport. Not necessarily as a theological belief system. Actually, many do. But even just in terms of like having just inspiration to get through the week, to go to work, to get through the year, and otherwise. People like look at immediate experience of family. People have marriages and children, and are just like trying to make the best, but at the same time, like it can be very difficult. And like the sports teams, the sports seasons, the tournaments, the championships, the trophies, and additionally, it's like what motivates people to get outside of just like the nasty things that are going on in life. And so people believe in that. People attach their dreams, their hopes significantly. And therefore, it is necessary for, well, I'm trying to phrase this in a less doctrinal way. There is a benefit in maintaining the integrity of sports so that people can genuinely believe it, because what is happening is that it's getting commercialized. Athletes are playing for contracts rather than for teams and for history and the legacy of clubs and franchises and stuff. Right there is very corporate, but it becomes just like winning and championship, and that's it. Where before, one, it's a matter of being fit. Like when we think about sport, I'm talking about world football, but this applies to basketball, American football, baseball, across the board, American sports and world sports. But there's a certain, in terms of organized football, organized sport, and then professional sport, and like world sports, even the Olympics. There's a certain tangible shared history, and so that begins about 150 years, 150 to 200 years ago, when people had enough spare time from the agriculture and additionally to do other things. People would become further situated, residing within factories, cities and stuff, and then becoming further social. So these clubs start to form, these athletic clubs. People would meet and then play sport. keep fit, particularly during like winter months and off time, and additionally, and then socialize, be like a pub situation again, England, Europe, and then start to organize and play against each other, and then there'd be tournaments, and then there'd be cups and trophies and stuff like that, and then people would start getting paid. People became full-time athletes from that, just about 100, a little over 100 years ago or so. So this is part of the history. And then the clubs were like the people who lived around there. They were part of the clubs. They were actually part of the clubs. It was like it was like the local YMCA in the American parlance. It wasn't just like the Dallas Cowboys out the blue. It was like very local, homegrown things. And so then the people would build pitches. People would build stadia, and then that's how things got to prominence. And then sometimes a financial backer or a company or whatever would come in and infuse an investment and be able to like recruit like top-notch players or whatever, and then they'd be able to get further competitive and compete against other teams in other locales, even in other countries. And then there'd be the international tournaments, and then eventually there's the World Cup that forms about 100 years ago. And so that's part of the history, and then in that experience, in that culture, there's a close-knit relationship between the supporter, the fanatic, the fan, and the club. There's a very strong tie. It's not just a matter of like, oh yeah, I like those colors, or I like that player. That's further legit, but it's more like, yo, I live here. The stadium is right across from where I stay. I hear it every day. I can't avoid it. So I gotta love it. It's that type of relationship. So that's some of the beginnings from that immediate village experience to now people just like can watch any match from any place in the world, basically, and then like choose who they want. And if they don't like that, their favorite player goes to another team, then they support that team additionally. So what we're talking about is the integrity of the sport, whereby and it's not even just a matter of like it's not a matter of the players being greedy. It's not a matter of the media being greedy. It's to the point of like even the fan base. It's like meaningless. Like people just like you can't even take it seriously. People can't even be like quote unquote diehard fans or whatever else, because everything is so bandwagony. People move from one city to the next, and in order to like show their fidelity and their loyalty to that particular city, they start wearing the gear and going to the things, and then they got credentials. They got, I've been to the games. What are you talking about? Because they can afford to. They get company tickets and whatever else. But like they didn't grow up watching it or whatever else. So what happens is the nature of the sport deteriorates, and that benefit. Again, when people don't believe in religion, people don't believe in government. People don't believe in the politicians. People don't believe in the businesses and corporations. What people do believe in, and particularly the youth, and this is significant. This is like where the traction hits. The youth believe in the athletes, because it's very difficult to fake athletic ability. And so when athletes are doing things that are amazing, and youth know how difficult it is, they're like, yo, they did it. And then they do it in the big spotlight on the big game and everything else like that. Yo, it's amazing. And then particularly the teamwork, when athletes from different backgrounds, different religions, different races are able to work together and show genuine camaraderie and working together, and then win together, that's teaching reconciliation. That's teaching cooperation. That's essential within our multi-ethnic, multicultural metropolises and societies. So, and that's something that politicians cannot do. It's something that, generally speaking, is standard, and something that even religions are very difficult, have very significant difficulty doing. That's one of the tremendous benefits, the tremendous needs and services that sport provides to the world, to society. However, when there is that just pervasive corruption, just not even in terms of like match fixing and whatever else, throwing games or whatever, betting. We're just talking about like the overall mechanics of it. When things are commercialized, everybody's wearing kits, everything's a commercial, advertisements, endorsements, and everything else like that. Like that detracts even from the youth's emulation and affinity towards the sport, and it becomes like just people just go through the motions. And I'm speaking from the perspective of being a Browns fan from 40 years ago, and just having a conversation on Public Square a few days ago with kinfolk waiting for the bus, talking about the Browns, from Jim Brown, Ernest Biner, Kevin Mack, all the way through today. Um, Talking about LeBron, talking about the Cavaliers, and further. So Cleveland is known for being a diehard. We talk about the move. We talk about Ozzie Newsome. We talk about the Browns going to Baltimore and otherwise. We talk about the hardships, because that's one of the things, again, that brings people together. That nostalgia, and that experience of solidarity as a city. Today, it just, particularly as an adult and having the experience of what's gone through the years, it's just like when people, when the team itself is promoting itself and saying, "Oh, we're from the land," it's like it's so fake. And it's not a matter of just being critical about it and just like being a hater about it. It's a matter of like, yo, like this is a need, and it's being superficial right now, and there's a need for genuineness, particularly again for social order, and the healthy relationship within society that sport provides. So, anyways, what we consider is like how to heal sport, and particularly football, but sport itself. And one of the things is just like making it small again. And it's not a matter of like busting up the leagues or whatever. It's not a matter of doing it forcefully. It's a matter of doing it naturally, affirmationally, and lovingly. But what we see a solution is like investing in local sport, local clubs, farm leagues, whatever else, and like being further participatory in that, and then build and grow around that. I mean, it can be expected that the professional leagues are going to be around for a while, presumably, if there's enough sufficient social order. I might have to move here. So, and the thing about that is, as long as the professional leagues are around, that's what the youth are going to see primarily. And so there's a continual need of having a literacy to be able to relate with youth and know who the players are and what's going on. And contemporarily, I got water all over. His hair is wet. However, at the same time, emphasizing local, like playing as much as possible and being in it. So, but just basic thing is recognizing that the need of the integrity of sport, and that there's something that's necessary to be done conscientiously, intentionally, and that it's done by the ordinary people, by the ordinary kinfolk, by the ordinary brethren and sisters. So that's that. And it takes work. It's not a matter of just jumping on bandwagons or whatever else, but like, yeah, going to the local matches, playing in local leagues, even the elders coming around, kicking around, and whatever else. Now that, but at the same time, still you can keep up with what's going on. You have approval to keep up with what's going on. And on that note, what I'll share is that I watched a recent episode of The Overlap, featuring Peter Schmeichel. It's a funny story. It's a funny conversation. It's a very valuable banter, particularly from across the pond. In the experience, or in the conversation, there's a particularly humorous anecdote where Peter Schmeichel was talking to Jamie Carragher. So for those who don't know, Jamie Carragher is like a legend of Liverpool, a Liverpool player. And Peter Schmeichel they're asking him a question, and Peter Schmeichel, like maybe how he got started, whatever, who was his first club, or who first approached him to be a professional when he was in Denmark. And so I think he said, "It's your club." He was talking to Jamie Carragher, and so the presumption is like he was saying, well, I'll just say, like, Peter Schmeichel said, "It was your club," and there's a little bit of a pause, and he says, "Everton," and then everybody started laughing. So the inside joke is that Jamie Carragher is a Liverpool legend, and that's what he's known for. He's sake, celebrity. I can't say like what the vibe is in England in terms of how well known he is, because I'm not in England at the moment. But I mean, he's well known. So that's what he is. He's a Liverpool legend. Now, as he tells himself, he grows up being a die-hard Everton supporter. And so there are two clubs in Liverpool that are fierce rivals, just like Manchester United and Manchester City. And those two clubs in Liverpool are Everton and Liverpool. So Jamie Carragher grows up supporting Everton. And then when he starts to get like recruited and into the youth leagues or whatever, he begins playing for Liverpool. So it's a tough thing, but I mean, that's life. And he continues to support Everton even whilst playing for Liverpool, to the point where I think he says that his dad or somebody else tells him like, no, you gotta like man up and just like, you're gonna have to jump ships. So that's what he does. So that's an existential thing. Because I know here, growing up in Cleveland, Pittsburgh, what? Today it seems less of a thing, but by growing up, like Pittsburgh and Cleveland was like nasty at each other, particularly 70s, 80s, because particularly both had strong teams. Both were the same type of city, just like Manchester and Liverpool, factory, blue collar, like no nonsense, like kinfolk, like the same exact crew, but just different, and rivals, and doing decent. So that's Manchester United and Liverpool. Well, Manchester United, Liverpool, Everton, Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh. It's the same thing all around the world. So anyways, that was the joke. Peter Schmeichel kind of got him saying, "Is your club?" Pause. Presumption of Liverpool, and he says Everton. Haha. Oh, dig. Oh. So that was a lightweight kind of example of like that cold-blooded humor, because that hurts, because it's a sting for life. Like whatever your childhood squad is or whatever your allegiance of, that stays with you. You can't. That doesn't go away. I mean, but at the same time, I mean, people recognize. No, I mean, like, well, it is what it is. So for somebody to make fun of that, it's like, oh, come on, man. But at the same time, it's like, we recognize this. We know what priorities are. It's family. It's life. Liverpool pays the bills. Liverpool pays for the house. So people respect that, and it's a tough thing. Everton supporters, they're not gonna like it, but at the same time, they're not gonna say perhaps that they understand, but like, it's part of the thing. But anyways, the nature of the sport, the integrity of the sport, is in need of do 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 do. It's in need of love today. So that's what we share. Whilst I'm here in 7 minutes, because don't see the bus yet. Get on the bus. Get on the bus. Get on the bus. Share. So I was supposed to share the recommendation I mentioned before, the idea, show idea for the overlap, where kinfolk talk with Allen Iverson, particularly like having a conversation with Allen Iverson and Roy Keane. Very similar personalities from very different backgrounds. Very interesting to hear the two talk with each other. Probably know little about each other, to be honest, but at the same time, both are like legendary sports figures with very similar personalities, even very similar careers in very different sports, coming from very different constituencies. So it'd be interesting to hear that conversation. And I mentioned like this extravaganza type of idea of like a panel discussion and formulated like topic or whatever. It's legit, it's valuable, but it would be huge. So one way of just simplifying is just like, Roy Keane and Allen Iverson sitting down and talking about their favorite NFL player, because Roy Keane is an avid enthusiast of the NFL, and Allen Iverson's first sport is the NFL. So that plain and simple. Allen Iverson and Roy Keane talking about their favorite NFL player, and the conversation being moderated by like a Shannon Sharp, Gary Neville, or something like that, or both. The bus is coming. The other thing also we talk about it is a film concept, a film proposition, which is Selassie I, the feature film, something of The Lion Returns. Featuring a Spike Lee joint, how about that? Featuring Yasin Bey, Mos Def as His Majesty Haile Selassie I, and Lauryn Hill as Her Majesty Waizaro Mannen. And the film, here's some further notes as we go on. We're about to say, first of all, peace and blessings. All things to praise the Most High Elohim. Blessed love and peace of Rastafari. The film beginning with Mos Def at the age of His Majesty when he leaves Ethiopia and finds refuge in England, begins to write his autobiography, and then retells the life of his story up to that point, the story of his life up to that, and then the film continues by what unfolds after the writing of his autobiography. Peace and blessings.